In today's video, we're going to be trying to get back into the normalcy of things. Obviously, we were talking about Tropical Storm Chantel yesterday, and we will talk about that storm throughout this video, as well as other threats that I do see for the Gulf and Southeast Coast, as that area looks to remain pretty active. It's not a guarantee that a storm will come out of there, but I do think that conditions will remain favorable, and it'll be something to monitor. So we're going to be talking about all of those things. There is some pretty major severe weather as well coming up over the next few days that we're going to discuss, and just a whole lot of storminess in the east. So let's start out by taking a look here at the past 3 days of temperatures. And as you can see, versus what we've been dealing with throughout the summer so far, we have seen a dramatic cool down here along the eastern seaboard, where there is some lighter blues, some lighter yellows. It's very close to normal, but there's some below normal temperatures in here, and we had been, for the most part, dealing with well above average temperatures. So again, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't much of a cool down really, but compared to what we were dealing with, this is very, very substantial. As far as the overall pattern we've been stuck in for a few days here, it is overall a negative PNA, where we do have these cooler temperatures along the western seaboard of North America. All you need to know about that is that it really just encourages warmth to rise up in the central and usually in the eastern states. So we'll have to see if a warm up is coming up. But for the northern central states, we are already seeing it's pretty substantial warmth that's been going on for a few days here. Let's take a look at the upcoming temperatures though. And for today, overall, we're mostly dealing with above normal temperatures in the east, unless you're where Chantel is around, which is going to be for northern South Carolina, most of North Carolina, and then southeastern Virginia, where we have well below normal temperatures expected overall throughout the day today because of that system. This is classic stuff, and oftentimes when we do have tropical systems, they do cool things down for the areas around it. But again, if we take this whole eastern area, it's hard to call this below normal. It's mostly above normal, with the exception of this area. For the west, we actually do start to see a warm up here taking place. So we're still in a neutral PNA, but it's maybe flipping positive here. And for the coolest area here, we're looking towards the central states. Again, they've been hot for a few days, but they have cooled down here for today. Let's take a look at tomorrow on Monday the 7th, and we continue to look warm in the east, outside of those areas impacted by Chantel, but we do have a considerable positive PNA now that is starting to take hold of the west, so things should look neutral to below normal in the east for the most part. We still see a very large amount of the central and eastern states dealing with below normal temperatures here. As we expand towards Tuesday the 8th, I mean, it's pretty neutral in the east, very, very hot out west, and still cooler, especially in the south central states here. Wednesday the 9th here, we start to see some of that cooler air impacting the southeast, but something is happening out west as we have some cooler conditions starting to trend in for this western seaboard area, and this warmth is overall trying to meander its way towards the east again. So let's see what happens after this point. I'm on the edge of my seat at least. I know this stuff doesn't excite everybody, but for me, this is really cool. Thursday the 10th, finally the eastern seaboard is dealing with, for the most part, and really the Gulf Coast, a cooler than normal conditions here for Thursday the 10th. We do see this colder air expanding out west. It's still not a full-blown negative PNA or anything, but it is cooler. By Friday the 11th, look at what happens. We see the warmth try to rebound along the west, and this cooler air is now heading eastward. We're already cold in the east, but seeing more of it moving in. I think we've seen probably 2 to 3 flips in the PNA already, and this is only by like day 6. So I want you guys to know that when we have that many large flips that the models are showing in a short amount of time, if any of those look different than what we're seeing here on the model guidance, it could shake up everything. So the confidence within this 6-day range, I would say, is probably lower than it would typically be. I want to remind you guys of that, because there's so many huge crucial moments that we just saw. Any of them seeing a slight shift it'll be like the butterfly effect. A small change impacts basically everything from that point forward. And there's a lot of points that could change is the problem. Saturday the 12th, we do end up in a positive PNA, warmer pattern out west, much cooler in the east. Again, it's not like going to be cold, but it's just less hot. Sunday the 13th is very similar. Monday the 14th, Tuesday the 15th, not seeing much in the way of change. And really, we don't start to see changes until about the 18th here, which is in the very long range, so take it with a grain of salt. But we start to see some cooler air trending in out west again, and this warmer air does overall move towards the east. But we have a very serious cool area here along kind of your deeper south and Gulf states up the southeast area. And then we have a much warmer pattern up above. On this model run, we will see in a minute, there is a considerable amount of storminess that takes place in this area throughout the model run. And this might be attributed just to the cloudiness and rainfall that's occurring day after day after day. But this seems to be pretty significant. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of that storminess that is upcoming. And as we take a look at it here, we see Chantel there off the coast of South Carolina. I want to move us forward towards this evening when we're actually talking about here. We can see Chantel is going to be much more just to the east of Charlotte, North Carolina, I would say. Somewhere to the southwest of Raleigh in there. And we do see a lot of showers and thunderstorms happening across Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina by this point. We talked yesterday about how these tend to bring some tornadic threats. We actually have as I'm recording right now, tornado warning in North Carolina. So we're already seeing some tornadic activity from this. So just keep that in mind. Outside of that, we do see a lot of storminess around here for some of the southern plains, Midwest, Great Lakes, a lot of Canada as well as New England there. So we're seeing just a lot of activity. Monday on the 7th of July here, we see Chantel, or the remnants of Chantel, bringing storminess from North Carolina northward across the entire mid-Atlantic coast, as well as the southern New England area. The central states experiencing severe weather. I think we have an enhanced risk for tomorrow on Monday across portions of Nebraska, probably a little bit of Colorado, Wyoming, and South Dakota here. It's somewhere in there. We'll take a look towards the end of the video, of course. So there's just a lot happening here. Chantel, cold front, rising storms. This is like 3 different systems all kind of put together, but really it looks like storminess from the plains eastward. Looking towards Tuesday on the 8th, it all kind of starts to come together. Instead of being those 3 separate features, we're mostly just seeing storms from the southern plains straight through into like the lower Midwest, deep south area, the southeast coast here, up into the Appalachian Mountain Range and Mid-Atlantic, as well as New England. It's all one, and we're seeing thunderstorms pretty widespread throughout this as well. A couple of areas to watch for severe weather will be the Mid-Atlantic here, and I think that we have somewhat of a threat as well back down for the deep south states as well for Tuesday on the 8th. Wednesday is when things get a little hairy because we don't have extended day outlooks, so we're going based off of just the model guidance here at this point, but we could see again another very stormy day, especially for the deeper south and southeast, where I think that there will probably be an inherent severe weather risk for both of these areas for Wednesday on the 9th. Looking towards Thursday on the 10th here, we do see up and down the eastern states, again, just really, really large amounts of storminess. You might also take note that there is no red L's anywhere. We're not seeing a low pressure center. This is just your classic summertime stormy days, thunderstorms popping up everywhere. And I mean, by this point, this is only 4 days from now, but we are basically in the heart of the summertime. We mentioned this earlier. A lot of people think that the heart of the summer is like late July into August. But typically your average temperatures are starting to drop by the time we're looking at the last week of July, first week of August. And the days are getting shorter. So we're already making our descent towards fall once we move past this kind of mid-July time frame. So the heart of the summer is essentially now into the midpoint of July. And of course that varies from state to state, but that is the typical. As we look towards Friday on the 11th, kind of hard to find the difference here. We have storminess up and down the East Coast. The biggest difference is that we have a little bit more of a dynamic system here at the very northern tip of Minnesota, where there's clearly a warm front, cold front dynamic trying to take place here. So we have this cooler air moving in, rapidly rising warm, humid air heading towards that warm front. And this will likely set up a larger severe weather threat. Again, Friday the 11th here, going to be something to watch for. kind of in the medium range. This is, I think, day 6 again, so we'll be watching for that very closely. Sunday the 12th here, we see this system really deepening in pressure, 993. Really expansive cold front there, where again, we're going to be watching for a lot of that severe weather activity. And we're still just seeing your kind of classic thunderstorm activity along the eastern states. This is a great point to note. Right here, we have some lower pressure. We have a lot of storminess in the same areas where we saw it with Chantel. And I wouldn't be surprised if by mid-July, we see another system try to take off in these areas. So at least seeing a threat, according to the National Hurricane Center, would not surprise me one bit. And of course, July, very early hurricane season. Once we move into August, that's when stuff gets real. So we're going to be really watching for that transition. But usually this time of year, we're watching for systems in these areas very close to the United States to just kind of spark off. Once we move towards late July into August is when we're going to be watching the entire Atlantic for, numerous storms, which is very close. We're not too far away from that. Sunday on the 13th, it's a little less persistent with some of this storminess, but from the southern plains all the way around the East Coast, we're seeing thunderstorm activity up and down these areas. Monday on the 14th, getting a little bit more exclusive for the more coastal areas. We have another day with storminess in these regions. For Tuesday on the 15th, again, deep south, southeast, east coast, still seeing a pretty consistent threat of thunderstorms. Once more, I'll iterate that there is activity sitting in these very favorable tropical waters. And at any moment, something could spark up in these areas when we have stagnant storminess just sitting around here. So we would be monitoring that very closely in a pattern like that. Wednesday continues that activity. We also have another very strong low here in the Hudson Bay. Very intense cold front here that you can see. Potentially bringing severe weather through the Midwest, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic here. At least very intense thunderstorms to watch for. Kind of looking towards the other side of the nation. No idea what's happening here. That looks absolutely crazy. Definitely a glitch in the models where these lines typically stay pretty linear. We can see they just start to go crazy. Just a fun fact there. Is it just that frame? Yeah, it's just that frame. So for some reason on this particular frame, it shows up like that. The one before it doesn't look like that. The one after, really funny stuff. Thursday the 17th, Eastern Seaboard, still not escaping the storminess. This is by like day 11 or 12 here. And we still haven't seen a single day without these areas seeing a threat of thunderstorms. So very stormy week ahead. We'll be diving into that in a second. Friday the 18th, continued activity looking very similar. Saturday on the 19th here. You kind of miss out on the New England portion of it, but we're still seeing a lot of these southeast and deep south areas seeing storm threats, thunderstorm threats all the way by Saturday the 19th. And then by Sunday the 20th, we're still seeing it for that date. And I think we go every single day on this entire model run, maybe even every single hour with these areas seeing threats of thunderstorms. Let's just kind of roll through it. Watch that southeast area. I mean, it's just really never ending. Pretty crazy stuff. Here's the total precipitation, and there's no surprise whatsoever that this area is deeply saturated with a lot of expected precipitation. Especially these areas where we see continued tropical threats. We see the remnants of Chantel as well in there, and then the daily thunderstorms. That leads to a lot of these areas being above average precipitation expected, but we see a lot of the areas impacted by Chantel still in the highly above average precipitation. We're talking about at least 2 inches above average for a 15-day period, which is very considerable. That's, a lot of these areas might double their average for that 2-week period. Very interesting. Let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center outlooks. We get a little bit messy here with them. In the lighter greens, we have our general thunderstorm risk, where we don't expect severe weather, but anything is possible, so heed every watch, warning, and advisory. These are very tricky. We have the 3 darker green areas where we have a level 1 marginal risk and expect isolated severe weather there. 3 of those, actually. And then we have just to the east of the Rockies for Wyoming, Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, a level 2 slight risk where we expect scattered about severe weather to occur today through tonight. Looking towards day 2, this is that enhanced risk I was talking about. We have the general, the 2 marginals, the slight risk, and then we have this enhanced risk now where we expect a little bit more widespread activity and severe weather in general to occur for a little bit of South Dakota, Nebraska, some of Colorado, and a little bit of Kansas as well. Could be a bad severe weather day there for Monday on the 7th. And finally, day 3, we have large general thunderstorm risk again. That's probably going to continue for the next 2 weeks. 2 rather large marginal risks where it wouldn't surprise me if either of these got a slight risk. It's probably 50-50 individually for each of them. So time will tell with that. But regardless, dangerous severe weather is possible, even if it's just a marginal risk. And like I mentioned earlier, even if it's a general thunderstorm risk, it's not impossible to have dangerous severe weather. So take all of these threats very seriously. Let's finally move into our tropical depression now, Chantel, that is expected to remain at tropical depression status through central North Carolina, 8 p.m. today on Sunday. But it's going to move towards post-tropical depression somewhere south of Richmond, Virginia, there by 8 a.m. on Monday, so tomorrow, where there should be a lot of storminess happening outside of this cone. Expect thunderstorms and bands from the system, could be gusty winds, and again, could be tornadic threats overnight, so we're going to want to really watch that closely. So far, it hasn't been extreme with the severe weather from this one, but we have seen a couple here and there, so just be sure to be aware of what's going on with this. It is still a very dangerous system. With all that being said, we upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.